Hello on YouTube, hello on Twitch, and welcome to another episode of my to Singularity Let's Play series. I hope you're well, are taking care of each other and being kind to yourselves. Those new to my channel, welcome. Returning viewers, welcome back. Jumped right into this. I had a viewer on Twitch, wanted to see if maybe they'd come over here. Probably not. No. They were watching Plague Inc. I don't know if they were one of my followers, but for those new to my channel, you can check this and all my other Let's Play series out on my YouTube channel, organized from oldest to newest videos. So if you're watching Twitch, you can find older stuff that way. If you're watching YouTube, by the way, you can find the newest stuff on Twitch before it gets through the buffer. I didn't have time to return to the cats simulation again and get it to the next badge, but at least I got one badge from that, I believe. Humans spend their lives accumulating things. This is the money thing. Spent a lot of time in this, though, to get to the end, and I probably don't have time, considering I need to also visit the, Lord of the Rings Online Let's Play series today, to put some time into that. Currency. Good to see all the theories heavily influenced by, well, honestly, I think by Wikipedia. This guy makes the game. I've seen traces of Marxist and traces of far-right theories of economics and traces of theories by libertarians. It's just a little of everything here. Whatever is on Wikipedia, I think, is honestly where the guy gets his information. But this is technically an edutainment game, although, you know, without experts actually working on it, the quality of education in the edutainment is questionable at best. But it's a clicker that masquerades as something educational, I guess. Let's get record keeping. Can at least get that. Though, a little actually better to do this, because once you, let's see, once I fill up the lever indicator to the left, then pulling the lever will get some bonus. Whatever one you're filling up here. So you see when that gets top, then you get a bonus each time you pull the lever. It's silly. It's like literally a Skinner box. You know what that is. Pull lever, get reward. Except it's a virtual reward. It's not even like a snack. Hey, I wish it was a snack. I wish, I am disabled on COVID, and, well, Snap isn't a lot of money. It's hard even to feed myself sometimes. I have very low energy. Stuff that's more ready to eat is more expensive. I end up having to buy less that requires effort to cook, but because I have such low energy with long COVID, I often don't have the energy for it, so I end up with too large a stockpile of, say, rice, which I, you know, used to eat all the time when I was healthy to save money, and I had the energy to cook it, but now, plus I'm in an apartment place where I have a violent, aggressive roommate who kind of stalks the common areas too often. If I was out there cooking rice, there's also some risk to my life, since he's threatened to kill me 3 different times before from hanging out cooking rice. Yeah, so snack would be nice. If I had a large enough channel, like Patreon donations for, you know, just being entertaining, that would also be nice, but I know I'm not a natural entertainer. It's just, this is one of the very few things I can do with my long COVID. Anyhow, I'm trying. I'm really, really trying, putting my all into, I think I have, can't see them all. I have 50 playlists and over 1,000 videos uploaded to my YouTube channel. And now Twitch is going to build a huge amount of, I mean, stuff that's only there for 7 days, but I'm just going to keep streaming to Twitch since I figured out how to do it consistently. And there's that bonus I was talking about as well. So why not get some Twitch viewers? Maybe someday I'll get to monetize both YouTube and Twitch, and have them both together, and maybe I'll have a little income. But there's too many desperate people trying to do this, and people who are just natural entertainers are cashing in on that, and give it my best shot. that's all I can do, right? I mean, this is also a way to have a voice to, you know, push back against the fascists in the world. This is my political commentary, and I like to think my political commentary is at least relatively well thought out or interesting for people. I've been told it was healthy. I did some unpaid political organizing. But I know I don't think as curly now, so maybe I don't sound that insightful, whereas I did when I was healthy. But it's also different, knocking on doors and meeting people face to face and such, where we could be very convincing. Maybe not so much here. Ecliptic. That's the plane that the bodies in the solar system are centered on. Although not all perfectly on it. There's, different inclinations relative to it. A family friend, well, I think it's this brother's father-in-law, very drunk once, and he was like talking about the ecliptic, how wondrous and special and miraculous is this. Like, he was a physics teacher. He should know that the ecliptic is just a natural result of physical forces, and specifically that solar systems originate from a protoplanetary disk that spins up and gives rise to both the star and the planets around the star, with the majority of the matter ending up in the center in the star, but some ending up further out, and that gives rise to planets, both solid and gas giant form. And dwarf planets like Pluto, which technically not considered a planet, but yeah, many will, out of nostalgia, always consider it an honorary planet, whatever. It's partly just they didn't want there to be too many planets, so they changed the definitions. It's kind of silly, maybe, to reduce the education load in schools, but honestly, what's wrong with teaching them, 20 whatever different planets? You count all the dwarf planets in the solar system, many of which were only discovered in recent times, like since 2010. Yeah, there's more than 20 planets plus dwarf planets in the solar system. There's a lot of studies. We're talking like Eris, Haumea, etc. But yeah, I was also talking about these bodies, or I forget, maybe I talked about Saturn's inclination, but some of the dwarf planets have very high inclination. Can't believe me, he was drunk. He's a silly, thankfully not an angry drunk, that brother's father-in-law. Like my roommate is an angry drunk and has an alcohol abuse problem. He comes back to permanent drunk, and that's part of why he's dangerous. Actually, it was temporary restraining order put on him, and when he showed up, the thing with the permanent, he was quite sober, and he actually sounded very rational. It's just when he's drunk, he gets aggressive and out of control, as far as I can tell, which, I mean, some people have that problem. They should just not drink. Easier said than done. Addictive. It'd be better if we, pushed, less harmful substances like mushrooms and marijuana on people, and suppressed alcohol. Because alcohol is a lot worse in terms of its effects on people's behavior. Not that any of these things are good, but actually, the Trump administration made they tried to ban marijuana, the Congress, and then went back and acted like they were doing more towards legalization when they were really just stepping back that, but I don't know. Maybe someday it will be federally legal. Be a lot less dangerous than alcohol if people are using that. Boom. Alright, I have to collect Spinosaurs, Ankylosaurs, and Sauropods. The sauropods again. Here. Boom. Oops. Ankylosaurs there. Archosaurs and T-Rexes. And Velociraptors. Pterosaurs. Grab that down there. Plesiosaurs. It's different types of dinosaurs. Here. T-Rex. Archaeopteryx, whatever. Triceratops. Ichthyosaur. Pods. Where are their pods? Boom. Or this, whatever. Boom. Even got a Darwinian cube. Awesome. That's the last stone geode. And that's just delaying the reset a little bit to get a little more mutagen here before I advance. First I want to do the stuff that gives the highest yield. Let this run for a while, run idle for a while, and then eventually, I mean the yield of its, left number. And then eventually things where I can show one of them right now. I think if I get this to 500, I get some mutagen. Might take a little while. Yeah, let's poke over to Beyond, and I'll name some of the dwarf planets that, people aren't maybe aware of. These are recent discoveries, and, unless you were in school recently. Oop. Did I do something with the stream? Oh. Okay, so we have, moons and Neptune there. Pluto. These are comets, of course. The Kuiper Belt, lots of small objects. Now, dwarf planets. Haumea, Makemake, Eris, and Sedna. All there. There's also the theorized planet X. So, Sedna, Eris, Makemake, and Haumea. And I think the node... I think the upgrades from mentioned some of the even smaller dwarf planets around some of them. Let's see. Sednoids. Far-off celestial objects like Sedna orbiting beyond Neptune form around the same time as the inner solar system. These mysterious planetoids could provide insight into the source's beginning. So yeah, that vaguely references other similar stuff. Massive dwarf. Eris has the greatest mass of any dwarf planet. Talks about objects in the Kuiper Belt. It's the second largest object in the Kuiper Belt. It talks about Pluto. Hidden planet. Makemake was bright enough to be spotted along with Pluto back in 1930, but went unnoticed until 2005. That is because it orbited close to the galactic core. It was hidden in a dense field of stars. So at the time, because it's very long orbital periods, the galactic core is behind it, looking from Earth. That, of course, changes as it orbits. This is about Kuiper Belt broadly. Well, former planet when Pluto was discovered, scientists declared it the ninth planet, but after discovery of other similar small celestial bodies in the 1990s, Pluto was demoted to dwarf planet in 2006. Yep. But anyways, there's a lot of other ones. It doesn't even name them all. Just, I know they're there. And this goes to large formations in the galaxy and other galaxies, including quasar galaxies. Quasi-stellar radio sources, or quasars, are AGN so extreme with black holes so voracious that they shine as bright or brighter than their galaxy. Yeah, so the black holes at the center of galaxies. The luminosity of this nearest quasar Earth is 25 times that of the Sun. So yeah, they're the center of galaxies. But you get, let's see, Virgo cluster. These are clusters of galaxies. Virgo supercluster with 100 groups and clusters of galaxies, a local group among them. This supercluster holds 10 quintillion solar masses of matter, but some of its galactic packs are not moving towards the center. Those strays muddy the boundaries and definition of supercluster. The Centaurus A group. Between our local group and the supercluster center lies the Centaurus A group. The biggest galaxy is an elliptical giant blasting out radio waves. This sign of a recent meal. Just 500 million years ago, Centaurus A absorbed a spiral galaxy that's still digesting. And yeah, various different galaxies. The universe is a huge place. It's always funny, to me at least, when people talk about the galaxy is synonymous with the universe, but there's lots of other galaxies beyond our own. Heck, sometimes people talk about the solar system as synonymous with the galaxy. It's like, no, there's tons of other solar systems in the galaxy. There's tons of other galaxies in the universe. It'd be nice if someday, fast and light travel was a reality, and we could even maybe someday travel to other galaxies, but unlikely. Fast and light travel is not actually possible, then it is possible to reach other solar systems with generation ships. Risky, but definitely doable, especially if we don't use up all the nuclear fuel on Earth and use it for like a Project Orion style nuclear propelled spacecraft. We can at least get to Alpha Centauri and some of the other nearby stars, and probably won't do that until we've colonized, say, Mercury, Mars, the solar system. These places will never be anywhere you can necessarily live outside of a pressurized dome, but that's eventually where probably the vast majority of the human race will live, is in pressurized domes and space stations, which, as technology advances and understanding of culture and stuff and society, it'll probably become easier and easier to create relatively pleasant places to live on those space stations and such. May never be as nice as Earth, but this can, increase the number of humans without putting as much pressure on Earth's climate, which can allow, more scientific research and such, especially if these colonies ever can become self-sustaining and produce some science. People talk about, well, we're never going to be able to bring raw materials back to Earth. Like, no, but we can bring scientific research back to Earth. Discover cures for disease on Mars. You can transmit that data back to Earth. It's absolutely viable. You can also, of course, exchange, movies, books, political manifestos, whatever. There will be a cross-planetary exchange if we can take our heads out of our ears and colonize the solar system. But that won't happen as long as you have people who are dedicated to massive inequality here on Earth. Creates too many problems that are difficult to deal with. If we're going to go and colonize the solar system, we're going to need to get rid of capitalism. Capitalism is not even an optimal system for generating economic growth or scientific growth, which if you think, well, we really need to grow the economy and grow scientific understanding to colonize the solar system, well, then you really need to get rid of capitalism. Socialism attains better long-term GDP per capita growth rates than capitalism. Soviet Union, for instance, was second or third highest GDP per capita growth rate at any given time in its history. Sometimes it was number 2, sometimes number 3, and it also had the second highest level of income equality on Earth after Sweden. So it was not the most equal country nor the fastest growing, but it was right up there in both. And Sweden was nowhere near the fastest growing. And the countries that were beyond it in economic growth rates, which was Japan most of the time, but for a time, France, and I think for a time, very briefly, after they got rid of the dictatorship, during which they grew very, very slowly. I think South Korea very briefly, for like a year. Soviet Union never fell below the number 3 slot, though, in long-term GDP per capita growth rates. So, and of course, they were the first to put a man in space, etc. So yeah, socialism, that's the autocratic form of it, but more democratic forms, I imagine, I could be wrong, but I suspect would work much better even than autocratic socialism. In which case, that's even more so. Socialism will be necessary to produce the scientific data, deal with the inequality, and set mankind up for colonizing the solar system. It may be that, Musk does Mars colonies a vanity project, but without dealing with these issues here on Earth, we're likely to nuke ourselves long before Mars becomes self-sustaining. Conflicts over water and stuff, and with climate change creating water shortages, and capitalism not really taking climate change at all seriously. Ultimately, we're going to have to stop producing oil and coal, and that's not going to happen under a capitalist economy. Whereas if you nationalize the oil and coal industries, you can just force them to slowly ramp down production. A quick ramp down would be better, but unfortunately, the economic disruption of that would probably be too much until socialism has been established for quite a while and could do something about certain long-term economic problems. We don't have time for that. So a slow ramp down of oil and coal production after nationalizing these industries. And if you just nationalize stuff, but you maintain capitalism broadly, it's a state capitalism because the billionaires control the government. But if you nationalize or turn to workers' cooperatives, everything, there's no billionaires control government. And then you have socialism. People are like, oh, it's state socialism. It's still socialism. And that is referring to state-owned enterprises. But if the democratic socialist system, so what if the state owns a lot of most of the economy? If the state is controlled by the population, there's no billionaires to corrupt it. Soviet Union was not democratic, it was an autocratic form of socialism, but and most socialist countries try and figure out how to do socialism entirely on their own and maybe pioneer democratic socialist approaches. They just copied the Soviet Union, which is why most socialist countries were autocratic. But Chile actually did try and go the democratic socialist path, and then the U.S. Helped instigate a coup there, and it hadn't gotten to pulling the trigger on one when Pinochet decided to do a coup, but it was preparing for one, and it created fertile ground, and would have done one if Pinochet hadn't beat the CIA to it. The U.S. actually assassinated a general who stood strongly against a coup and let his subordinates know he would not allow anyone to try and coup the government. And after assassinating that guy, there was no one to stop a coup in Chile. Technically, the CIA claims they were trying to abduct the guy. That the people they paid to, because it wasn't actually CIA agents, but the people they paid, that they told them to try and abduct this general instead of kill him. But one, probably nonsense in a cover, and two, it's not right to abduct the general of a country who's standing against a coup just because you want to coup that country. Maybe they thought they could torture him, make him make false statements, CIA, because they did that kind of thing. And that would be more powerful than simply killing the guy. So maybe it's true that they only meant to abduct him. But either way, Chile tried to do democratic socialism. It did not go around arming most of the population, though, which you can do under democratic socialism, legal militias. And if they'd done that, maybe it would have stopped Pinochet from taking power. But yeah, the military and the opposition to socialism in Chile, which was smaller than the number of people who supported socialism, but there was a large number of moderates, and they were able to sway enough of the moderates to at least not stand in their way. That with the military on their side, the opposition was able to take power. And they weren't much less number. It was like, I think 36% of the population was in favor of socialism, like 29% against or something, and then the rest of the population was neutral but willing to just not get involved. It had a system where Salvador Allende took power as a minority elected president because he had the largest bloc and no one else was able to form a larger bloc than him. But still, he was trying to reach socialism through a democratic system, keeping the Chilean constitution in place. Democratic means might have shown the world a better way of doing things than the way the Soviets did it. But unfortunately, the U.S., killed that system in its crib, and even wrote that they didn't want the rest of the third world getting the idea that they could just elect socialists. So it's very obvious, like internal strategy documents, that there were, not even always, was that a State Department guy, but State Department CIA Wartan. I think it was actually a State Department guy who said that, but not the CIA, but the U.S. openly talked about how they were doing it to prevent democratic socialism from becoming a viable alternative to the Soviet approach. So, if we hadn't been around as a giant bully, maybe it could have happened. It did happen, but maybe it could have not been crushed after just a few years, by a violent fascist. Because Pinochet was a fascist. All fascists around himself. Just easy to say, by a fascist with the back of the military. It's not always the case that the military leans against socialism either. What was it, Nicaragua? The military actually was full of leftists before the Sandinistas were elected, and so the military couldn't possibly try and coup the government because most of them were socialists. Socialism had been growing support there for a long time. So the U.S. instead funded the Contras as essentially a terrorist network that did death squads initially, and then eventually got control of areas and propagandized the local population and supporting him and such. But, of course, they had backing business moguls, but the military in Nicaragua was actually loyal to the government and was socialist. Like most of the people in high-ranking positions, most of the rank and file in the Nicaraguan military were socialist at the time. Or was it most of the rank and file and enough of the high command? Either way, the military, there wasn't even a prayer of a coup happening, so the CIA had to use different methods. Didn't have to. I mean, had to if they're going to be evil, but they were going to be evil because the CIA is vile. I do wonder if, like, the government fighting my Social Security might not be partly because, like, CIA, FBI become aware of my political speech and would rather see me dead than surviving on Social Security, but more likely it's just the shittiness towards people on COVID broadly. Since I was just reading an article where it actually did the unthinkable, mention the danger of people with long COVID becoming homeless if Social Security is getting denied for them. Which very often that's not even mentioned in the report. It's like, oh, they're facing problems getting Social Security. What happens when you have no income and you're unable to work because you're too sick to work? You become homeless eventually. And, you know, a lot of people manage to stay with families and such for now. But I can't stay with family more. I was with family member that's abusive. Most extended family is too shitty. They're not going to give me where to stay. Like, one family was like, oh, love you always. It's like, if you love me, you'll give me a place to stay instead of letting me eventually become homeless and my savings run dry. Or you'll make money in your budget. This family member's retired to help me enough that I can survive. Especially because I get some help in the state I'm staying in, so it's not paying my entire cost of living. Just doing enough to help me defer homelessness until I can hopefully win my Social Security case. I'll just keep fighting that. It's not like I'm lazing about not trying to win it or dragging my heels for that. I am very much doing what I have to, but that's frustrating. Like the law firm's like doesn't want people contacting them. Like these systems move slowly. Just, you know, rest assured we're taking care of it. It's like I hope I can trust these people, but not the most trusting sort. Alright, well, 27 minutes according to Twitch. Okay, that's a few seconds shy of what the real length of this is. There's a slight delay, but it's not bad. Trying to advance up the, we should actually be doing upgrades, not more commodity currency here. Oops. My carry shells is only the cost of 2 commodity currency. I could have done it already. Probably should just reset the main simulation so I can get the nanobots. This is going to take forever otherwise. Any viewers? Any viewers? No viewers right now, unless there's that one lurker, but I'm not sure. Sometimes I think Twitch counts me as a viewer and sometimes it doesn't. Had a viewer comment in my last video. Play again. There's people around occasionally. So they could just be friends who have subscribed and are trying to help me. Wish people were less reluctant, you know, help people financially. Honestly, their time would be better spent working a few extra hours at work. Like, I can't do much, but here's, you know, $25. Spend it carefully on housing, you know, or not spend it, but save it until you need it for housing to avoid homelessness just a little longer. That would buy me like, let's see. I have other things like phone bill. Yeah, that would buy me more in a day. Not much, but, you know, it could be the difference in the end. Trust in community. Sharing is caring. At a foundation level, we must be able to trust the community, deal with us fairly. If we can't trust neighbors, how can we trust strangers? Yeah, my community is not dealing with me fairly with the long COVID. Of course, that's really, you know, because Trump fascism, right-wing vileness, which is being supported by shady networks that are propagandizing people to the far right, billionaire support networks. I mean, people aren't just going far right by accident because of billionaires putting money, dark money, into funding everything from PragerU to, I don't know the half of it because obviously I'm not involved in that stuff or watching that stuff, but I know Steve Bannon, God, I forget his name sometimes, went and created far-right networks like this in Germany before, Trump get elected in 2016, and now Germany has gone fascist. And he was getting billionaire dark money to do that. So that, I mean, that was well documented. There's an entire documentary on Steve Bannon going and doing this. So this is, go find it if you don't know the exact name of it, which I don't have memorized. Try Googling it, maybe you'll find the documentary on Steve Bannon's activities pre-2016. It's somewhere out there. And the internet hasn't been destroyed by the government yet, by the Trump government. Yeah, billionaires are determined to turn the world fascist so they can crush anything on the left that might ever threaten their power and threaten them accumulating more and more and more of society's resources. And they'll eventually turn on those supporters who think that they're going to benefit from this. Those suckers are going to get screwed just as badly as anyone else. All they're doing is maybe being last in line to be attacked by these monsters. Viewers, none. Oh. Just keep pulling this lever, I guess, for a little bit. Let's focus a moment of silence here. Talk too much sometimes, so. Viewer. Oh, viewer. Don't know how to see viewers lists. I could shout this person out. But, hello, viewer. Alright. Almost got the nanobots up cooldown. After this, I mean, it was so close, I'm like, I'm not going to reset the main simulation quite yet. Although, what does a minute matter when main sim has been running so offline? After this, I need to go reset the main simulation for more nanobots and to buy upgrades for it anyways. Boom. Oh yeah, let's grab coins. I should have done that earlier. This will enable more upgrades, just having those exist. Yep, shekels. Just required 600 coins. I'll get this very quick. When you're feeling stuck often, you need to grab a new generator that you missed. It's taking too darn long. Not always, something you just have to click patiently in this game, but worth seeing if you forgot something like that. I mean, with my long COVID, I always have the presence of mind to remember, but when I'm pretty sure it requires Darwinium, it did before, unless it changes after a while. Click on it, maybe the next time it goes over and see if I'm not spending the Darwinium, I'm saving up for modules. So. Alright, and waiting coins, which increase the rate of coin gain, I guess. Coins benefiting, coins making coins, well, not actually making them because you use commodity currency to buy coins, but enabling more do that so I can get Chinese coins quicker. Oh yeah, I forgot. Nope, yep. main simulation reset. And I lost my viewer. Oh well. Someone poked over, saw there probably wasn't a super active chat, no one they could chat with, and then like, oh, I'll find someone else. Okay. Research chip. Nice. 67. Got that Darwinium reward from barometer, and now it's time. Definitely not waiting for air pump. Time to upgrade. Oh, that entropy bar is almost full. Let's get that last. Maybe it's silly. Maybe not. Oh, that'll help with the entropy gain rate very much. Boom. At least that number of life forms and reset, which I don't think affects anything other than just pride. You'll see what I mean in a second if you're watching this. Okay. Upgrade simulation. Yep. By 50,302 life forms cataloged. That. I should be cutting this though. This has gone too long, otherwise I'll have to cut this in two for you. So wish you all the best. Viewers, take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may you always find a guiding star to lead home. Until next time, adieu, and best luck to you all.